For years, philosophers have asked the realest of questions. How big is the universe? What is the meaning of life? Fucking magnets, how do they work? But today, I want to try and answer the realest question of all. What's my favorite Sonic game? It's hard to believe with myself turning 25 this month that this franchise will be turning like 33 in a couple months or some shit, I don't know. I don't even know what day it is, so don't quote me on that. With Sonic now being a multimedia franchise, the series spans from games to movies to books and all sorts in between. Now, throughout this month, I'll have enough time to speak on the other media within the franchise. But looking at the games, it's very easy to find the things that are memorable. But for me at least, it's kind of hard to pinpoint that one core moment out of the entire series that could be heralded as my favorite. And so that brings us to the question, what is my favorite Sonic game? Is it the one I grew up with, a spin-off, a love letter to the franchise, or a formula perfected, an underrated gem or an overhated one? It's a question I've asked myself for years, and I've been trying to nail down the criteria, but I think I've been able to divide it into a couple core pillars. First is my introduction to it and first impressions. I think that does a lot for your opinion on your favorite Sonic game. Number two would be the fundamentals of the game. That is anything from the story to the gameplay to the level design and the overall flow and pacing of the game. Number three has to be the music. If it doesn't have a banging soundtrack, I don't even know if it's a Sonic game at that point. And number four would be, is there anything in the game that I just overall hate? If there is, then definitely isn't in my top 5 or 3 even. If there isn't, I mean, it could be one of the greatest games of all time, I don't know. This is a very simplified way of looking at the core values that I find in my favorite games, and specifically my top 3 in the franchise of Sonic the Hedgehog. The truth is, there's only about 3 or 4 that hit that criteria for me, and they actually would be divided into, ironically enough, the 3 eras that you can kind of look at when viewing the franchise as a whole. The classic Genesis era, the Dreamcast era, and the modern era. If you've seen my Sonic tier list video, you kind of get a gist of what my favorites are going to be. With there being 3, it's kind of hard for me to choose a specific one that is my favorite, but I'm hoping that by the end of this month, I'll be able to figure that out and definitively say which is my favorite Sonic game of all time. So I hope you stay tuned, as we'll have a new video every single day this month with something Sonic related. And on Tuesday, April 9th, we will be starting our Tuesday special of Sonic Month Special Danno Logs with my favorite for the 2D era, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. I'll see you then.